welcome to our fifth session of Edge Talk video blog. Today I'm delighted to have one of our major partner in the ecosystem from ADVA. I would like to welcome Michael Hafner. He is the VP of Product Management at ADVA and a strong partner for us, and we've been working very closely on some of the initiatives. So Michael, give us a little bit of a run through, where ADVA fits, what is the strategy around the deployments of ADVA software, and what do you see, or where have you gone from this product in the market?
Okay, thanks. First of all, thanks for having me. Happy to spend some time touting our relationship with Lanner. So I'll kind of reference some of the slides that I have here. Just as it relates to the virtualization space, we've really been kind of working in this NFV space for many, many years now, kind of looking at it from a bunch of different angles. Originally starting with the whole Mano space, but quickly realizing that, the place to differentiate is building the NFV infrastructure, cloud infrastructure for deploying, a wide array of workloads, at various points in the network. And so, kind of what we've seen over the last several years is a harmonization of requirements from key customers around really moving toward flexible deployment of cloud infrastructure and moving away from that centralized deployment model, and really kind of distributing cloud resources out towards the edge of the network. And there's kind of a whole variety of use cases that drive that, some of which are listed in the first bullet. And we'll talk about some of these in more detail as I think we go through. But obviously uCPE has been the big driver for us over the last several years. And one of the key drivers pushing the whole uCPE phenomena has really been the introduction and evolution of SD-WAN. So I think we all kind of have ridden the SD-WAN phenomena, and early on the SD-WAN players were kind of perceived as a threat, especially to the telcos, because they were out selling directly to the enterprises. But when the telcos decided that they were going to adopt SD-WAN technology and start to deploy that as a managed service, it became very apparent that, we ran the risk of recreating kind of the appliance-based router market. So, it was just the Cisco Juniper market, but with SD-WAN vendors. And it was that realization that really kind of became the focal point for the service providers. Hey, we want to do this, but we want to do it in kind of a more next-gen type of network architecture and base this off of NFV, deploying SD-WAN workloads as virtualized applications and not, kind of purpose-built appliances. And so that whole driver has kind of been a huge boon for the uCPE space, because there's a lot of SD-WAN vendors out there. I mean, it's a very fragmented space, and it's hard to predict who's going to win. And also, as managed service providers, we realized that those telco customers needed to be in a position where they could offer a wide array of options within the SD-WAN space, so that they could then in turn tell their end customers, yeah, I can run Versa or Ventela or Velopod or Silverpeak or Nuage or, go on down the line. There's a lot of them. So that was really kind of one of the big things. But also, the other key driver that we saw is the evolution of the whitebox technology. So, once you started to get more, commercially built whitebox solutions that offered a very flexible array of compute technology capabilities at a really good price that compared favorably with what it would be in an appliance model, we started to see more and more customers demanding, hey, we want COTS technology. We want to have this open solution out in our premise so that we can, run a wide, variety of workloads out at the edge as well. So, it was kind of that whole evolution of end user scenarios, SD-WAN, and the growth of the whitebox technology space that really has kind of driven NFV. And for us, we've really tried to capitalize on that, with a very open platform, a very big ecosystem of NFV vendors, VNF partners specifically, to offer a lot of different solution options in the uCPE space.
And you optimize. I'm assuming you're working very closely with Intel, right? So you really getting your handles on all the elements on Intel using DPDK and what have you.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, thanks. That's right. I mean, Intel's been a partner of ours from way back when, but we're very close with Intel today. We're part of the Intel Select Solutions. Actually, we're the only, I think, NFV software platform that they've accepted outside of, I think, standard Ubuntu. As a software framework on which you can run NFV or uCPE as part of ISS. So we're working very closely with Intel. They help us market in the space. We're tied into their roadmap now, so we're actually working with them on some of the new chipsets and new capabilities that are coming out in the next generation of platforms, which as you know, Sven, we're talking to you guys about getting our hands on some samples of those. So working closely with Intel has been very key to helping this whole space grow as well.
I mean, another big aspect here is the scalability piece of it, right? Because what we see in the market is that some customers start small, but they don't calculate in what's going to happen in 2 years, right? So that's one aspect also to think of. And then the other one is especially now with this whole COVID thing. So zero-touch provisioning, this is really becoming a must-have in the SD-WAN or universal CPE market, right? Because it's all managed services.
Absolutely. Yes, that's a good point. So actually, let me touch on both of those real quick, and it's good. I got kind of 2 slides that I can hit on that kind of touch on both of those. So from a scalability thing, that's absolutely true, and we're seeing this also being driven by, as you and I talked about, this whole evolution from strictly focused on customer premises-based uCPE to this more amorphous edge cloud, edge compute type of thing, which in it obviously has a lot of implications on scale. So we've really been kind of focused in this middle area there, the far edge, as this slide shows. But what we're seeing is there's a lot of other use cases in different market adjacencies that can build on top of the same technology, but imply different workloads, different deployment locations, and then when you kind of get over here to the provider edge, certainly different scale. You may be looking at the far edge, sub 100 megabit to maybe 1 gigabit types of throughputs, whereas a provider edge, you're going to be looking at multi-tens of gigabits or potentially hundreds of gigabits of throughput traffic out of that provider edge or edge cloud type of space. And so, from our perspective, we're really trying to have a software framework that can flex both down market into the low end single function type of application up to the higher end aggregated provider edge compute type of scenario, but give you the ability to have a common deployment, common automation, common management infrastructure that serves all of those different those different locations. So that really kind of ties into growing the market addressability from just uCPE to some of these other use cases. I'll kind of hit on this last slide here in that when we look at some of the value that we've brought as ADVA and our Ensemble solution, kind of right here in the middle, one of the biggest things is the whole manageability. So we've been able to virtualize things and run VNFs and instantiate them, and we've been doing that for years. But a lot of the work that we've done over the last couple of years with some of the big carriers that we're deploying with is how do you manage this stuff? How do you deploy it? How do you operationalize it and then do day-in management? And that whole aspect of our solution is where we really think that we bring a lot of value. And so we've done a lot of work on zero-touch provisioning, streamlining that whole process, integrating our VNF partners into our ZTP process so that we can automate the day one deployment and provisioning of VNFs through our ZTP solution. simplifying the ability to support a lot of different access network topologies. I think a key theme with our customers is that they don't know what networks they're going to be deploying into necessarily, and so not having that essentially all hard-coded, but having flexibility in the solution to deploy across a wide array of network topologies, including different types of wireless networks. And as you know, we're working very closely with you guys on the LTE stuff and getting certified for LTE integration as well. That's been a big thing. But then down here, kind of close to the bottom, is kind of the telco grade manageability. So doing it in a lab is one thing, doing it in a production network across tens of thousands of sites, and how do I have my inventory and my topology? How do I do upgrade and patching, fault and performance management, both localized to the device, but also integrating into back-end OSS and BSS systems. That full spectrum of, it's got to look a lot like the hardware appliance-based, routers and firewalls that we've been deploying for the last 20 years, but in a virtualized mode. And so, those have been a lot of the key points of differentiation on our side that have helped us win new customers.
Excellent. And I like the last bullet point, our product work. I think it's, the SD-WAN market is pretty active. There was a lot of unknowns in the beginning. I think this has all been straightened out, and this adoption is very, very strong. And we of course have built white boxes around it. So I'm glad to see that. And we saw the curve in your slide deck, how the adoption is. And I'm happy to work with you guys on this. So looking forward for many more opportunities. How can people get in contact with ADVA? The best way?
Yeah, so the simplest place is certainly through our main website, www.adva.com. We've got a lot of information on there, including collateral that we built around our relationship with Lanner, our partners, product information, use cases, things of that nature. Certainly, reaching out to someone like myself or Price and Paid, as you know, who is one of our key evangelist on the marketing side. If we want to talk about use cases and things of that nature, are also certainly reasonable ways to get in touch with us.
Excellent. So I encourage everyone to take a look at the ADVA website, get some more details, benchmarking data as well. We can provide that as well, combined with Lanner and ADVA to see the universal CPE performance. So thanks, Mike, for joining me, and looking forward for future programs and deployments. Thank you very much.
Awesome. Thanks, Ben.
Bye.
Bye.